Welcome back to MNS Digital Classes. This is the second lecture on vector calculus. In this session, we are going to discuss about the scalar fields. A scalar field is a region of space in which a scalar physical quantity is characterized as a continuous scalar function phi of r is equal to phi of x comma y comma z, such that the magnitude of physical quantity at each point in that space has unique value, that is a single number having no direction associated with it. That is, a scalar field in a region of space is a physical quantity which can be represented or characterized by a continuous scalar function such that it has only magnitude. At each point, the magnitude of the physical quantity is unique value and it has no direction. Such a field is called as scalar field. It means at every point, the given physical quantity has unique value. It's a function of only position. It does not depend on any other parameters. For example, the distribution of temperature in a three-dimensional space is represented in terms of T of x comma y comma z. It means the temperature at any point is a function of position only. At each point, temperature has unique value. As we move from one point to another point, the temperature varies, provided that other physical conditions which change the temperature is kept constant. So a scalar field is a function that assigns a unique scalar to every point in a given region. Now observe here we are having an image represented where the pressure variation over the surface of an ocean is represented, and each color represents the unique value of pressure at that point. As the pressure varies, the color also represented with different colors. Each point has unique value. Now, let us understand the pictorial representation of the scalar field. In last session, already we learned that a scalar point function is represented in space in form of points, each point representing the point function at that point. So, if we take a collection of such point functions, the points in the space, such that each point x, y, z representing the magnitude of the physical quantity at that point, this entire collection of the points gives us the scalar field associated with that point function or the given physical quantity. Now let us consider some examples of scalar fields. The first example is variation of temperature along the length of the heated conductor. We know that when the conductor is heated, when the steady state condition is reached, the temperature at each point is unique value. Pressure and temperature distribution in the atmosphere. In the last slide, we already seen the pressure variation in the atmosphere. The third example is the distribution of potential fields. That is, it may be gravitational potential, electric potential, or magnetic potential. Gravitational potential due to mass, electric potential due to a charge, or magnetic potential due to magnetic pole. These potential fields represent the scalar fields. The distribution of any non-directive quantity in a medium, the distribution of density of any non-directive quantity in a medium, it also represents the scalar field. The last one is the altitude of a location from the sea level. If we take the sea level as a reference, then with respect to sea level, the height or the altitude of a particular location represents the scalar field. If you move to the different places, then the altitude with respect to sea level will be different. So altitude also represents the scalar field. Representation of scalar fields in space. Generally, the scalar fields are represented in terms of level surfaces. In any scalar field, the field can be mapped graphically by a series of contours or surfaces corresponding to definite constant values of the function phi x, y, z. Such surfaces are called as level surfaces, such that each level surface has its own constant value. So if we in a space, if we join all such points having the same value of the scalar point function, then the line which joins, lines are a surface or an arbitrary curve, whatever it may be, that represents a level surface corresponding to that given physical quantity. So a level surface mathematically can be represented as phi of x, y, z is equal to constant. Even if you go on changing all the values x, y, z coordinates, if it gives us the same constant value, then that mapping or the surface gives us level surface. So we can define a level surface as a contour curve or surface which is an imaginary surface drawn through all points for which the field has the same value is called as a level surface. One important characteristic of level surface is the level surfaces are mapped in such a way that no two level surfaces can cross each other, because if the two level surfaces cross over each other at the point of crossover, it will have two values which contradicts the definition. Level surface should be sketched in such a way that it must have a unique value. If the two level surfaces cross over at the common line, it will have two different values. So from this, it is clear that a level surface is single valued or unique valued surface corresponding to the given scalar field. Now let us take the example. For a temperature field, the contours or the level surfaces are called as isothermal surfaces. Surfaces are simply isotherms. Now take the example of the heated rod. We already discussed this example. Let us take the same example again. If one end is heated, other end is maintained at a relatively lower temperature. Then when steady state is reached, we already learned in thermodynamics that each point has unique value of temperature. Now observe here in the diagram, the surface represented by dotted line represents the level surface S1 corresponding to temperature θ1, whose value in this particular example is 80 degrees Celsius. Now if we consider all such points having temperature θ2 corresponding to 60 degrees Celsius, this gives us another level surface S2. So in case of heated metal rod, we can represent these level surfaces. Each level surface consists of all such points having the same temperature θ1, which is represented as S1. Similarly, the surface S2 corresponds to all collection of all points having the temperature θ2. Remember that a level surface, not necessarily it is a line or a circle or a sphere. It may be any arbitrary curve. Now consider the second example. It is very clear. Now observe here, we have a region of space in which the heat is flowing from the hotter region to the cooler region. And observe that the first level surface, it is the curve representing all such points having the temperature θ1 represented by 60 degrees Celsius. Similarly, the second line or the curve having the is the locus of all such points having the temperature θ2. Here in this particular example, it is 50 degrees Celsius. Similarly, the third curve θ3 is the level surface corresponding to the temperature θ3 having 40 degrees Celsius. From this figure, it is clear that the greater the spacing, each level surface corresponds to unique value, the first concept. The second thing is, one important concept or the idea behind the concept of level surface is the spacing between the level surfaces represents the rate at which the flux of the physical quantity gets transferred. For example, in this figure, observe here, between these 2 points, the spacing is less, whereas here the spacing is more. From this figure, what we can conclude is, lesser the spacing between the level surfaces, greater is the rate of change of that particular physical quantity, and hence greater is the flux flow. That is, in this particular example, if we speak, the amount of heat that is gets transferred in different directions is different. Now, if the level surfaces are closer to each other, more amount of heat is transferred. Whereas if the level surfaces are further apart, now observe in this particular direction, there is a larger spacing between the level surface. Therefore, the amount of heat transferred is less. So, the important idea behind the concept of level surface is just by observing the pictorial representation of level surfaces, we can come to know about the rate at which the physical quantity or the flux of the physical quantity gets transferred from one point to another point in the transverse direction. Now let us consider another illustration which we already discussed in the previous session. If we take a hot plate heated at the center, it is a two-dimensional scalar field. At the center, temperature is high. As we move away from the center towards the edges of the plate, the temperature gradually falls down. The contour map or the level surfaces corresponding to this heated metal plate is represented by concentric circles. Here, the concentric circles indicate that the rate of flow of heat is uniform in all the directions. If the spacing is uneven, the distribution or the rate of flow of heat is different in the different directions. That is the importance of levels, concept of level surface. Now let us consider one more illustration. Now observe, we have two figures. First, let us consider the first figure. Here we see that a person is moving along the mountain. Now observe here, the line 1 represents the locus of all such points which are at the same height from the sea level. This line represents a contour map or the level surface. So at any point, if you consider the observer at any point, he is at the same height from the sea level. Similarly, now come to the second picture. The second curve represents the locus of all such points having the same altitude, say another altitude. Third one represents locus of all such points having altitude h3. Fourth one, altitude h4. So if you move along the horizontal, there is no change in altitude of the observer with respect to sea level. Whereas when we move in a transfer direction with respect to level surfaces, the altitude changes from one level surface to another level surface. Suppose if I say that the altitude is h1 for the level surface 1, altitude h2 for the level surface h2, altitude h3 for the level surface h3, and so on. Then if an observer moves in the transverse direction represented by arrow A, then his altitude varies. Whereas if the observer moves along the level surface as shown in this first figure, his altitude remains unchanged. Now let us consider one more example which is related with electrostatics. Now consider a potential field due to a point charge. Now observe here we have a point charge, and the electric potential due to this point charge at the two different points are given. Let us say at the first point V1, at the point another point V2. We know that if we draw concentric circles with radii R1 and R2, that represents a locus of all the points. Say if we draw a circle with radius R1, that represents the locus of all points having the same potential, because we know that electric field due to a point charge varies inversely as the distance. V is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi naught Q by R. If Q is constant, so if you consider all points having the same distance R1, then potential will remain the same. So if we join all such points, we get a circle. That circle represents the equipotential surface represented by S1. Similarly, if we draw another circle with radius R2, that represents the level surface having the electric potential V2. So in a potential field, the contours or the level surfaces are called as equipotential surfaces. Now observe here, this is the two-dimensional diagram. Here we have three-dimensional representation of the equipotential surfaces. Now observe here, this is the first level surface, this is the second level surface in three-dimensional case. Instead of surface, we have to speak in terms of spheres. This is about the concept of scalar fields. Thank you.